Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You are here with Lecky_2000 on Flux TV, and you join me this evening for our GT1 Championship race, round 3 I believe of our GT1 Championship here at Road America. You join me currently as we are just getting underway with our qualifying session. We have currently 15 minutes remaining in session, and you are with us watching All Right Turkish, currently putting in his I believe it's his cold lap, so I don't believe this is a flying lap for Turkish at this stage, but all the guys yet to put in a time. So very excited to be here. Great to have you with us. If you are new to us, if you are new to Flux Motorsport, then please do check us out on the website at fluxmotorsport.com. And if you are watching us on YouTube right now, please hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to put the bell notification thingy on so you get notified when we do a new video. So, but other than that, yeah, thanks for being here. So like I said, Road America course, one of the longer courses that we've got on our championship calendar this season, and so far proving a difficult track for all the guys. Really proving traumatic for tyres. So there's been a bit of a debate between some of the teams in the paddock for tyre choices this evening. I do believe that we're going to have fair weather here today at Road America. So for our race this evening, the weather in-game is going to remain clear and dry. So that's good news, and our drivers can start to bank on the weather and can make tyre choices accordingly. As you see, Turkish is getting a little bit on the grass there. So that is going to help for tactics, strategies, whatnot when these guys are setting up. So just take a little look on board with Mark. It looks like he's putting a lap time, possibly just a qualifying, just a slow lap at this stage with a 2:23. As we start to see our guys now put times on the board. So yeah, interesting strategy is going to be here. Potentially one stop, it may be even a two-stop strategy here. As Mark getting a little bit sideways as we come to the end of sector 1 there. So as we get underway, 13 minutes left. How we're looking at in our championship so far. So if I go over to our standings, currently our standings after round 2 last week at Monza saw Bruce Law remain at the top of the championship with 72 points. Carl, who I believe can't be with us this evening, he's going to be absent this week, unable to make the race, so he's currently in second place. So that's really going to affect Carl's chances here. In third place we have Murphy. Murphy currently putting in 2-minute 10 lap time, as you can see on the screen now. Murphy is third in our championship with 50 points. So a quick run down the order then for the rest of the championship. Uni Clark in fourth, who can't be with us tonight, so he'll drop points there. Vital points drop there for our fourth spot. Speedy in fifth, Jack de Menezes in sixth, and Jack de Menezes also, I believe, may not make the race this evening. I think work commitments have got involved there. All Right Turkish in seventh, CMC eighth, Mark's in ninth, LMTC is in 10th, Luke 42 in 11th, and Old Smokey in 12th place. So all these guys looking to try and pick some points up here from the absentees, so from the drivers that can't make it, and as long as they can get the cars under control and things together, I'm sure that these guys will do so. Fingers crossed for that. So just taking a look at our driver times, Speedy is the guy that's topping our leaderboard at this stage, and will be our provisional pole sitter if things remain as they are. Current lap times 2:01. So in our practice session, I think the guys were getting around the 2-minute mark. So potential time here yet to be gained, and we see Bruce now put a 1:58 in. That's a blistering qualifying time. Take a look at Bruce's lap here, as you see a little bit of lag from Bruce though, so maybe we'll come back to Bruce in a moment. Yep, Speedy put in a good lap time though, 2:01. So Speedy's currently fifth in the championship, so he'll be looking to secure as high up on that grid order as he can. Yet to come out, we've got CMC, who's one of our drivers from the States. CMC's chosen the Merc this season. I have it on good authority that Merc is one of the quickest cars in category, and CMC has been able to put some decent times in qualifying, but not really transposing in his championship in round 1, but certainly picking up some decent points after round 2. So want to watch here potentially CMC. Know that we can be quick in this Mercedes, but whether Road America will be suited to this vehicle, I think time will tell on that one. So Old Smokey yet to put in a lap time as well. Old Smokey is currently one of the guys who's trailing our championship at the moment, so important for Old Smokey today, important race, trying to get him some points on the board. I'm sure that he's going to be looking to do as well as he can and capitalise, like we said, on those absentee drivers. So that's kind of where we're at with our standings for the evening. Just going into round 3, like I said, as we see Old Smokey, the cold tyres getting the better of him there. He gets a little bit sideways on the exit of the pit lane. But yeah, we'll go back over to Bruce now. So 1:58, and we'll see what time he gets here as he comes across the line, if this is an improvement. So, and that is an improvement. So another, almost a couple of tenths shaved off there. So Bruce going well, and that's going to be interesting to see whether he can maintain that during race pace. Got a 1:58.4 blistering lap times. So a little bit about Bruce. I think we were looking for Bruce to be across the championships an all-round winner so far out of all the races that he's entered. Unfortunately, I think there's a slight blemish on his record due to a disconnection, but from all races entered and started, I believe that is still a 100% record for Bruce. So as long as we don't get plagued with any disconnection issues today, and as long as there's no upsetting events that deny him from his win, then Bruce will be looking to extend that record this evening. So another one to keep an eye on, I think, is Bruce. So another chap that we've not really brought you much information at this stage is Alright Turkish. So Alright Turkish in third, currently putting in a 2:02 in our standings. Alright Turkish is currently 7th in the standings, so he dropped a few points from our original round at Nürburgring in round 1, but did seem to be able to get the that Merc round here in a reasonable lap time at this stage. 2:02 I think is roughly what we're going to be seeing in terms of race pace for most of our cars towards the front of the grid, with one or two exceptions. So Turkey's looking to do well here, and I'll take you on board with Luke. So Luke, the only guy I believe who's tackled the Porsche in the championship this season. The Porsche, not actually a bad car around here. So looking at the previous track records and previous lap times, the Porsche is up there with a sub 2 minute time. So it is a capable car around here, albeit probably a little bit underpowered or underrated in terms of how people feel it is in comparison to other cars in this category. So, but look, they're trying to make it work. 229 currently, so looks like he's sporting a little bit of front end damage on that car. So he'll be looking to try and get to grips with it. I know he's struggled with the first 2 races so far this season, but it does look a little bit more stable so far throughout his practice and qualifying sessions. So hopefully he can keep the beast that is the Porsche under control. So take a little look on board with Shellendall now, or Al as he's called to his mates. Al rocking a bit of damage on the front end of that Merc there as we come down into the left hand at the end of sector 1. Again, one of the most difficult corners at Road America, I think. Al making light work of that though there, so keeping it together. Again, another fellow that's chosen the Merc. A good all-rounder, I think, the CLK for the GT1 category. and I don't think that those lags are not indicative of Al's lap times here, so his sector times, I'm sure, will show us that he's still performing quite well. So if we take a little look on the board now with Murphy and see if Murphy can improve on this 204, I think some potential changes to the McLaren in order to try and get a little bit more speed out of the out what is a really well handling car, but I do think it lacks a little bit in terms of overall top end performance compared to some of the other cars in class like the Toyota. Again, looking at the lap records for the McLaren, looks like it's a little under par compared to some of the other cars in category, but that's not to say that Murphy can't make it work with a decent setup. So fingers crossed, he'll be looking to perform well here. Had a decent run out, I believe, in our round 1, and I believe he came 3rd there. He did fared a little worse in round 2 at Monza, but again I think that is potentially the longer circuits with the longer straights that McLaren does tend to struggle with. So just take a little look at down our leaderboard again now. So currently Bruce sat in on provisional pole and Speedy in 2nd at front row on the grid. Both of these guys just probably in the pits now, getting ready for the race to commence, making sure the pit strategies are correct, etc., and setting this up for not the qualifying session but the extended length of time they're going to need to be out on track for the race. Alright, Turkey still trying to push and improve his in lap time. So again, as you see him coming down into this difficult left-hander, you need to be careful on the rubbers on the inside there. So if you do get it on the apron on the inside, it does tend to want to spin the car. All the left-hand corners on Road America tend to want to do the same. So Mark, one of the drivers that we've not really focused on so far, Mark in the Toyota. So one of the only guys at this stage that is adopting the Toyota, although only one that's with us this evening that's adopting the Toyota. I do believe that we've got a couple of other users that are absent, like Clark. So there's a driver that does tend to preference the Toyota, but Mark's struggling there, trying to get that under control. No front wing on the Toyota, so that does differ from a lot of the cars in class. Only rear end aero for the Toyota, so it makes it difficult for the downhill section at the end of sector 1. And Mark clearly struggling with lap times in the Toyota. So still to set lap times, we've got CMC that's still pushing. He is coming out on a hot lap, I believe now. So he'll be looking to try and set a time here. So stay with him as he crosses the timing line to see if we can get a time on the board and improve his position. And not this time, so that must be not a clean lap at this stage. So next time around for CMC is going to have to be the one. I don't believe he's going to get enough opportunity to go around again. Could be wrong, but I think this is the final lap now for CMC as he gets sideways on turn 2. So that is going to be upsetting for CMC. So struggling at Road America, it appears. So hopefully he can do some last minute changes between now and our race start to try and get the back end of that car in check. But Bruce, we see, has come back out. So Bruce is going through the fast section of Road America there, through the kink and the S's, and this is hard on the brakes now into this right hander, potentially all the way down to second gear here, trying to get the car to sit down on its back tyres. And again, fast through the S's up to the last corner and away for the home straight. So we'll see if Bruce improves here. Not that he needs to, but and that was a lap. So it looks like Bruce is coming over for his final hot lap here, and that is Alex coming. Alright Turkish. So I think that's it for Alright Turkish. He's going to be happy with the second row on the grid. As you see, Murphy now coming across the timing line. See if he improves. So no improvement on a 2:03.773 at this stage, but second row on the grid for Murphy. He will be able to try and get another lap in this session potentially. So not quite done yet for Murphy because he's still out on track, so he could improve, so we'll come back to him. As we go on board with Shelinor out to his mates at 2:04.9, so sticks in 5th place, but again potential for another lap, so he'll be trying to put the moves on now and trying to go for 4th spot for Murphy. Not an awful lot of time difference between Shell and Murphy, but at this stage, but if he keeps this together, he could potentially get the Merc to fly here. So take a look on board with Luke. So 2:04s looks like all the Porsche is capable at this stage. As Bruce comes across the timing line, it appears, for the finish of the session. So this will be the last time the guys come around now. As we come again down into that tight left-hander. Yeah, managing to just about keep hold of it though, but struggling with the exit of that corner. So the first left-hander, and that's it for Luke, I think. So he's going to be satisfied with his 2:04. Mark's still out on track. I think Mark is just coursing it back to the pit, so potentially the only man remaining running is Murphy. So we'll stick with Murphy as he comes through the last couple of sections and away onto the pit straight. And we're looking for an improvement on a 2:03.773. Okay, not this time. So it looks like for our session today we have Bruce Law who sits pole, so that'll be another point for our pole position for Bruce Law, racking up the points here already. Second place goes to Speedy Gonhog, a good show from Speedy. Seems like the Panos brothers have got those panels he's singing at Road America. In third place comes Alright Turkish, and again a good lap time from Alright Turkish. We've seen spectacle performances so far this season, so that's great to see him at the 1, 2, 3. Murphy in 4th, Shellendall in 5th, Luke Snipes comes in 6th, and Mark in 7th. CMC and Old Smoky in 8th and 9th that failed to set a lap time. So we'll get underway here and we'll go into our pre-race setup. So just a couple of minutes now for the guys to put the final touches, just adjust fuel and tyre pressures and make sure that they're in full race mode. So just whilst we're waiting for the guys to get ready here, like I said, this is our GT1 championship. This runs on Thursday nights at 8 PM. If you are interested in any of the other championships that we do, whether that's watching or getting involved, then do go to fluxmotorsport.com, where you can read about all the services that we provide, and if you look for the driver sign up button, that will take you through to our Discord server, where you can sign up to be a driver or get involved in the community and be involved in our commentary or even our graphics if that's what floats your boat. So if it's just the racing that you're interested in, the racing that we do is all monitored, it's all clean, driving only, and all the guys do have standards that they adhere to. We do offer services such as setup and coaching and tuning advice, so there's all sorts of services we do offer. So do head on over, and don't forget to obviously hit the bell and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and that'll keep you informed of all our wonderful videos that come out. So not too long here now, just as the drivers make the final preparations to get us underway. as we're lined up on our grid. So as the lights come on and we start to see our guys get prepared now, hopefully we can bring you some nail-biting action at Road America. And the lights are off and they are under starters orders, so they are go, 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 and Murphy gets a flying start up the inside. So it looks like Bruce bogged down there, potentially started to it looked like he rolled forward a little bit on the grid, but Murphy making great gains there, and Speedy now down on the inside. So battle for first place between Speedy and Murphy. Murphy sticking it on the outside, so great manoeuvre there from Murphy. It looks like Bruce there just getting a little bit on the outside in third spot. So 1, 2, 3 as we come into the second turn is Murphy, Speedy, Bruce Law. And all our action for the start of our race here at Road America. It looks like there might be a little bit of a slow up from Luke in the Porsche as cars try and bunch up behind him. So that's Luke, CMC and Old Smokey there that are battling it out. I'll stay with our leaders here. So Murphy remaining in first place, but it looks like Bruce has managed to nip up on the inside of Speedy into the tight left-hander at the end of sector 1. And it looks like we've had a spin there, so in the background it looks like that Luke has spun. So unfortunately it looks like we've had a bit of an incident there, so that'll potentially be a steward's inquiry. That allows CMC and Old Smokey to move up. As we stick on board with Bruce now, so it looks like we've got a battle with our leaders. So Bruce extending the gap now from Speedy, just catching up with Murphy, and he'll be looking to try and pressure him. So a good couple of laps difference in qualifying. Doesn't always translate the same as race pace, but Bruce certainly all over the back of Murphy now and trying to stick with him. I'll see if we can go on board with Bruce now and see if we can get a view from within inside his cockpit. So all over the back of Murphy here now, you'll see that silver panels big in his mirrors, and he'll be doing everything to try and make the car wide. So Bruce not trying too much here at this stage, just trying to sit behind him, hoping Murphy makes a mistake, which he doesn't look like he's doing. A little bit of a switch there on the outside, which might let Bruce get the power down on the run. Again, that McLaren did struggle for power, and there is, we get into gear 4, so it looks like the Panos has just got it down the inside as we go trackside now, and that's Bruce through it into first spot. So 1, 2, 3 now looks like Bruce Law, Murphy, and then Speedy gone hog, and Speedy is sticking with Murphy, and he's now starting to pressure Murphy. So Speedy trying to capitalise and make it a 1-2 as it was in qualifying for the penalties, and Murphy so far having none of it. So I'll try and give you a little bit more of our other action now as we stick on board with, so as we go trackside with Mark, who looks like again he's just got past Luke. Mark potentially getting involved in a little bit of the upset there, but again did struggle with that Toyota initially, and it does look like we've had Shell and Old Smokey pit now. So both these guys have picked up damage in that first incident, so that is a shame, and that will be affecting how many points they pick up this evening. So potentially over to the stewards there. And Luke looked like he was potentially the culprit offender there, as that's Mark that we see spinning in front of Luke. So Luke managing to take that position back off Mark now and put himself up into 6th place. So if he keeps that Porsche together, it doesn't look like he's picked up too much damage. I don't think he pitted, and as that Porsche goes round, so still proving difficult here for Luke. And I think it might be a toe-to-toe with Mark and Luke on who can keep the cars on the track the most. So, and that'll determine their position. So we'll go back over to Speedy and to Murphy now for this battle for second place. Speedy sticking with him, less than half a second gap here. So these two guys going toe to toe as we come up to 41 minutes remaining within our session. So this is a 45-minute race, so the guys have got a way to go here before they see that checkered flag. And like I said, they potentially got pit stops. I expect potentially at least one pit stop, and potentially more if people have picked soft tyres. It's going to be a 2-stop strategy potentially. So that'll be interesting to see when we do see people come in the pits. Murphy getting a little bit wide on exit there, and Speedy following him, so not quite getting the run into turn number 2 as they come down onto the long straight onto sector 1. And Murphy's got a little bit of a better run there, but the panels looks like it is catching him on the straights as they come over the crest of the hill and down into turn 1. Excuse me, I do apologise for that. And Speedy just struggling there a little bit on the exit, getting a little bit wide there, struggles to get the power down on the rubbers, that panels. So will have potentially taken a tenth or two off him there. We're still sticking with Murphy, so we'll stay with the action here. You can see just in the distance there, I don't know whether you caught that back then, that's Turkish, the orange and black CLK of All Right Turkish there in the background. So All Right Turkish is potentially going to be trying to pull these guys in and still putting in decent lap times. If you see Murphy going wide there, so just coming outside the carousel just before the kink, we see Murphy getting a little bit wide on the exit, and that's really affected his speed there. So that is going to let All Right Turkish potentially close that gap up, as just suggested, if he can maintain the speed here. So 2:05's lap times being put in from Turkish, so consistent and steady at this stage, not quite the at the pace of second and third place from Speedy and Murphy. So we'll keep an eye on Turkish here just to see if he closes this gap up. It does look like he's got the CLK working steadily as he expected, albeit it might not be the quickest car on track. It does look like it's quite stable and quite safe, so it's good news for Turkish. Yeah, as you come over the line there, we see Murphy with a 2:06 and Turkish with a 2:04. So definitely made gains through the initial, through the last part of the course there. But just going through sector 1 now, let's just take a little look through the timing board on sector 1, which we will coming up to now as Murphy comes down that long straight down the hill at the end of sector 1. And that looks like it's going to be around about 46 seconds for Murphy and a little bit longer for Turkish. So not a lot in it between the lap times, sector times at this stage, but Murphy looking like he's doing enough to stay in front of Turkish at this stage and maintain that gap. So as you take a little look on board with CMC now, so CMC's managed to get 5th place. Again, from not putting a qualifying lap in, I've seen him jump up 4 places, potentially 5 places in the standings here so far. So that's going to be vital points for CMC. Looks like he has picked up a little bit of damage from that initial incident, so won't be putting in the 2:04 lap times from the top 4 at this stage. So I think it really is already at this stage a battle of a tale of two halves. Sorry. Between 1st to 4th and then 5th to 8th place. So, but CMC looking like he's coming up at the best of the rest, as it were, at this stage. So we'll keep you posted on CMC's future lap times, just to see whether we can pull those in. The guys behind him are actually putting in quicker lap times from CMC at this stage. So if he maintains this kind of pace without pitting, you could potentially see the gap closing up there from Mark and Luke in 6th and 7th. I think Old Smoke is a little further out the action at this stage to try and close that gap. But it would be interesting to see whether he chooses an early pit stop or tries to stick it out with this black Mercedes here. So, and he does come into the pits this time, so that is a pit for CMC. I think that's his first pit stop at this stage, but that's going to make it interesting, and we'll try and take a look with Luke now, as Luke's just coming past the entrance of pit road, and Luke will now overtake CMC. So, and that's it, that's Luke past, and it does look like Mark potentially is going to do the same. So Mark comes up the home straight now, again past CMC. And it looks like a potential tyre change as well for CMC, so not just damage tyres and potentially also fuel at this stage. So this could be a lengthy pit stop for CMC, so that is really unfortunate, and that may affect his standings a little bit more than he'd like. So, but hopefully getting the damage repaired, it'll seem to put better lap times in, and he can catch back up with the rest of the field. So going back over to Speedy Gonhag, our second place sitter at this stage, 6 seconds, 7 seconds behind the leader. So he's not potentially going to be closing the gap to Bruce. I didn't expect that would be the case. As we know, Bruce is particularly quick in GT1s. He's quick in everything that we see him in, to be fair. But Speedy putting in a good performance here. Really stable, really well calculated, I think, from the start though. So managed to get away cleanly, but not the best start. Lost out to Murphy, who got a blistering start in that McLaren. We'll have to see if we can get that on replay at some point. I'll go back and review that action for you. But that was a great start. But Speedy managing to stick with him, managing to maintain composure in the car so far. And again, it just looks like it's glued to the track. It looks like it's on rails. So a good performance here so far from Speedy. Murphy in third place. He's dropped a few seconds behind, but he is maintaining the gap to fourth place. We can't yet see come into shot. There he is. So Turkish there behind him. Turkish in fourth place, so kept his nose clean so far. Looks like he avoided most of the trouble in the incident at turn 3 initially. But yeah, he's managing to maintain 204s now, so potentially degradation of tyres or pushing a little bit too hard previously from Murphy. This may see alright Turkish actually start to close that gap around the 3 to 4 second mark at this stage, but we'll keep an eye on that gap for you. So over to Luke now in our 5th place. Again, he's been struggling with the Porsche today, but he doesn't look like he's the only one that's struggling, so that could see him picking up quite a few points today. As we see Murphy drop down the standings though, so that does look like a spin from Murphy. And yeah, just getting the car corrected there to get himself going again. So unfortunate, and it looks like it's that section out of the carousel again that's just caught him out. So as you see Murphy coming through the quick section and the kink, and it looks like he's picked up damage, so that is going to have to be a pit stop, I believe, for Murphy this time round. So alright Turkish, they're taking that 3rd spot, slowly but surely picking off the guys in front of him, not even having to apply that much in the way of pressure. Just the constant reminder of him being there seems to be enough at this stage. Maybe it's the bright colouring he's got on the Mercedes that's putting people off in the rear view, but Turkish picking up another position here. Turkish sits currently 20 seconds behind our leader, 21 seconds behind Bruce Law. Again, reasonable lap times being put in from Turkish, not quite the 204s he was putting in the lap previous, but certainly around a 205 average at this stage, as we do see Murphy there come in for a pit. So again, that's going to be difficult for Murphy's championship standings there. Going to be a difficult pill to swallow, but with a pit stop required anyway, and not tyres this time, so it doesn't look like it's tyres affecting it. So potentially might just be overheating of the tyres rather than tyre degradation there. But will that see Luke close up on Murphy? So Luke currently sat in 5th place. Again, Luke picks another person off now as he comes down the home straight, and that will see him take 4th place from Murphy, and potentially Old Smokey might do the same. So Old Smokey, and as you see Mark behind him there, and I think that's Bruce Law that's coming up to just start passing our leader, passing our back markers there. As we see Old Smokey coming up past pit straight. So will he actually get the jump on Murphy here? Will Murphy's pit stop remain the pits for a little bit longer? It looks like he does. As we did see Bruce coming there, a little flash of the lights from Bruce. Just thank the back markers for letting him through. Take a little look on board with Bruce now. I'll take a flying lap with him and just see how our leaders do it. So I'd like to get rid of the interface. So turn 2 is, like I said, he was going to back straight here at Road America. Really difficult here, as we see another back marker getting out of the way. Really difficult downhill section here, what the car's really wanting to lift. Bruce, you see, staying over to the left to allow the car to be thrown to the right hand side. Late on the brake and late to the apex there to try and avoid other rubbers and spinning, and again over the crest for this left-hander. Again, the car wanted to step out and get the back a little sideways. Normally not having to lift for that corner, normally a flat out corner, but in these GT1s, right-hander, you do have to lift, and then round for the infamous carousel. As Bruce will be dabbing the throttle here, just trying to keep the front end in check, not try and get those tyres, the front left particularly feeling the whir on the carousel corner. As we come to the kink, and almost flat out in the panels in the kink, so we might have seen a little lift there, but not a lot in the way of loss of momentum. And hard on the brakes now, and early off the brakes into this back S section, so we can get early on the power, clipping the apex, and early on the brakes, and trying to maintain half throttle here, I guess. Yep, we're in the last corner on our way for our home straight. So under the Gardner Denver sign and across the timing line. So that is your flying lap on board with Bruce Law, and that's how our leaders do it. So go back to our action track side here and take a look at our second place, which is Speedy. So Speedy, looks like that gap from him and Bruce Law has extended itself now to 10 seconds, so a 3-second increase from excuse me, from the last couple of laps, but does look like he's making substantial gains now on All Right Turkish. So and it looks like Murphy's now come out behind All Right Turkish, so I think he's potentially a lap behind there, but Murphy was looking to put 204s in during this race, so sticking with All Right Turkish there, hoping to try and use his slipstream to try and get past him, and hopefully Turkish, if he's got the pace, might see Murphy unlap himself, but Murphy won't want to get involved in too much with the car that has lapped him. Just try and not slow him down doesn't want to affect Turkish's race here. So Turkish goes a little bit wide, which does allow Murphy to go through there, so minor mistake there from Turkish, nothing really to write home about. Certainly managing to maintain the rear tyres a little bit, not get those spun up on re-entry to the track, so which is one of the worst things here, is trying to maintain tyres. If you do manage to spin the car, trying to correct the car itself, you can waste a lot of the rubber that's left on those tyres. So did well to manage to pull that back there. He was just going board with Marky. I think we saw Mark get a bit out of shape there in the background. As we came at the start of sector 2, as we go into the carousel with him now. Again, Toyota struggling. There's no front aero on the Toyota, so the Toyota does struggle with the carousel and really suffers from a front left tyre degradation through that section. As we see him getting a little bit wide there. Again, front end slip I think on the Toyota. Must be set up for a slightly longer, less demanding track than Road America. Quite an undulating track, Road America. Difficult to try and get the bumps ridden with the car maintained and not riding the bumps. Doesn't let you cut the angles to the corners and get the lap times that you need. So you do need a little bit of a decent all-round approach to setting the car up here. Try and maintain a good race pace throughout the course of the race. So, but Mark currently in 8th place. He will pick up points if he does maintain 8th place and does finish the race. So we'll be looking to do so, because the more points, obviously, the better. So we see Old Smoky there, and Old Smoky was just getting a little bit out of shape there. That's allowed Murphy to go past him, and All Right Turkish there, which goes and laps Old Smoky. As we see him get composure now onto the end of sector 1. So that does push Luke up to 4th spot. Like I said, it's he will be have Murphy closing down in 5th spot behind him now, but he's managing to maintain 4th so far quite consistently. A big gap between himself and Turkey, so over a minute's gap now. So as he loses it again there, so maybe this is the curse of the commentator. Great save though, Luke. Great save. Manages to get a little bit wide there. Ooh, as he keeps his foot in and tries to correct. So that's Bruce going a little bit sideways there, was it? Yeah, trying to avoid that. So that's definitely affected Bruce's lap time there, but doesn't look like he's picked up any damage, and doesn't look like it's had too much effect on him on the race. So fortunately hasn't really affected our leader there. But essentially, like we're saying, it will allow that gap to close up between Luke and Murphy, and I believe that's down to just around 15 seconds, that gap now, just a little bit more, 25 seconds, somewhere in between there. So just go over to our timing boards for you and see if we can bring you that information. So yeah, last lap time, obviously a lot quicker by Murphy, so 2:04 to 2:21 seconds. And yeah, and around just less than 25 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. Speedy comes up behind Luke now, so Speedy will be looking to try and close that gap up now. Speedy's managed to pull 3 seconds in from that mistake that Luke made and that Bruce had to avoid. So Speedy will be hoping that he can try and get cleanly past Luke and not be affected himself. So hopefully Luke can be aware that he's got a big white toad in his mirrors. Might even be worth a flash of the lights just to let him know. I know drivers have tended to do that previously. Not seem to be too aggressive if it's just a simple flash to a back marker, but certainly not something encouraged if it's to just try and force somebody who's in front of you out of the way. So Speedy will look to try and, like I said, close that gap up now. Just take a look on board with Murphy now. So like I said, Murphy has pitted, didn't change his tyres though, so potentially has gone for a harder tyre setup and maybe looking to get minimum pit stops in here, potentially a one stop or even a no stop strategy with the hards. Will be running on next to nothing when it comes to the tyres if he has opted for a no stop strategy. And was that Old Smoky there? It was Old Smoky in the background. We saw Murphy just passing. So Old Smoky spinning there, and really that's not good news for Old Smoky as he stays off track there just to let Turkish past. But yep, that's Old Smoky that's struggled at Road America. So really feeling for him here. Not had the best start to his championship. So, and as you can see, that Mercedes crabbing its old way down there into this tight right-hander as we come into sector 3 for the back sector. So potentially another pit stop there from Old Smoky. Again, picking points up in 8th place though, so we'll be looking to finish this race. So it's just a battle now, I think, between some of these back markers as we go trackside with Mark now. That's also coming through this back section. So Mark might be looking to overtake Old Smoky, and unfortunately he's just lost the front end again. So really struggling with no front wing on the Toyota Road America. But Mark potentially still looking to get that position off Old Smoky if he doesn't come into the pits this time under pit road. So CMC currently sat in 6th place. CMC is around about a couple of minutes behind, 2.5 minutes behind our leader. Last lap 2:09, so not a million miles away from the 2 minutes and 2:01 minutes that our current race pace is. So like I said, lap time's not really an issue for CMC, but consistency and managing to keep out of trouble and out of danger does seem to be a bit of a problem for CMC. So I think that's potentially just having a word with the guys in the garage and getting the final niggles tuned out of that out of his setup to get that CLK a little bit more consistent. As we know, like I said, he can be quick, and we know that particular CLK has got some quick lap times in it. So hopefully he can get that sorted with his pit crew. and get that sorted for our next race. But we take a look on board now with Murphy. He's still a good way behind Luke, so there is still an 11-second gap. But over the last lap and a half or so, Murphy's managed to pull that gap in by around about 45 seconds. So he is catching with 19 minutes left in our session. That is certainly doable. As we see him coming down the pit straight now. And there's a 5-second difference in lap time. So within a couple of laps, I would expect to see Murphy catching up to Luke. And potentially trying to put some moves on him. Again, Luke, if he's still struggling with the back end of that Porsche, may think better of trying to make it difficult for Murphy to get past. But it is for track position, so he's fully entitled to fight for his spot. So that'll be interesting to see when these two guys get close to each other. Go back on board with Bruce Law now, as we are on lap 13. Like I said, with 90 minutes to go in this session, and last lap looks like back to a 2:01 for Bruce Law. So again on track here for another 100% performance for all races started. Not necessarily for all races entered, as we did mention earlier. If you're just joining us and not familiar with the standings, Bruce did get disconnected in one of our races within the last round of the championship, so that has tarnished his record through no fault of his own, but certainly finished first 100% out of every single race that he's actually started from the grid on. So again, another solid performance here. The Pano's not supposed to be the quickest car in track, as we see a uncharacteristic mistake there from Bruce. He gets a little bit wide though, so potentially tyres now starting to play effect, coming into effect with lap 14. We'll potentially see a pit stop. Like I said, there is certainly time in a pit stop between first, second and third place, but not between first and second. So Bruce has opted for a one-stop strategy, and Speedy has as well, and that's fine. But I think he's going to be waiting for Speedy to flinch first on that one. So we go trackside with Speedy, like I said, 12 seconds behind Bruce Law, so that gap increasing. So once Bruce Law's managed to get back to his race pace back to a more average, a more normal average, then I think we're going to continue to see that gap growing. But 2:02's still a good lap from Speedy, still putting solid performances in lap times. So he'll be happy with his performance. Just going back over to our standings, like I said, for Speedy. Speedy's currently sat in 5th place in our championship, and after our first race was initially in 9th. So making gains here, improvements so far. That's 3 positions gained in terms of standings between race 1 and race 2, and a similar jump again. I don't think we're going to quite see that same jump, but he's certainly going to move up in the standings if he maintains this kind of performance. So we're just over 15 minutes left in our session. Let's see if Speedy can keep this together and keep that characteristic stability that he seems to be building a reputation for. So as we see CMC now pitting, so it looks like CMC is coming for a potentially what might be his final pit stop now. Doesn't look like he's gone for tyres this time, so potentially that might just be a little bit of damage there. So CMC trying to get that repaired. There's a good way between him and Old Smoky, so in no danger of being overtaken here. So may as well try and get the rest of this session used for getting his car set up, getting the niggles, getting the gremlins out that CLK as he gets away there. So not too long of a pit stop and not too much damage. So we'll try and go back over to Murphy here. So it looks like we've had Murphy just go past Luke, so it looks like Luke's come into the pits there, and Murphy's got that manoeuvre done on Luke. So Apologies that we missed that there. As Turkish also comes into the pits. So Luke and Turkish both in the pits for potentially different reasons, I think, here. I think Turkish is coming in for tyres, and Luke's potentially trying to get the damage repaired on that car. So with Murphy still out on track now, he's going to be looking to try and close that gap up to Turkish. Like I said, Murphy has pitted, and already taking one position off Luke. I think he's the car to watch here at this stage for potential positions gained remaining during this race. So struggle a little bit through part of it. So I think one of the worst issues with that McLaren is it seems to tyres that seem to drop off and then come back into life again. So I don't know if that's something to do with how that car's set up, or something to do with how the chassis of that car works with these particular tyres from the manufacturer. But it does seem that they come back into life within the same tyre set. So that's definitely going to be making it complicated to try and get the setups right. It does mean you have to take a broader average approach to the way you set that car up. But it does look like he's got it together in the latter part of our race, and 204s consistently, and 203s are push here from Murphy. So as we take a little look at the timing board, and yep, 203s is best at this stage, low 203. So can put in reasonably quick times here. Not going to be race winning times with the 201s of race pace that Bruce is setting, but certainly up there with a shout for a chance at a podium. As we just see the connection here just getting a little bit twitchy with Murphy, so we'll try and come back to him. But yeah, it does look like Turkey's come out the pits now, ahead of Luke actually, and ahead of still quite a way ahead of Murphy. So a minute gap there between Murphy and Alright Turkish. So as long as Turkish doesn't pit again now in the last third of our session here, then he should be able to maintain that third spot and come home with a podium, which is great news for Turkish. So Luke a little bit behind him there, just trying to sit in Turkish's slipstream there. Again, I just had the damage repaired on that, so the car looked fresh. Seeing whether he can keep that together now under the corner exit. It looks like with that Porsche that's really struggling. So potentially a differential issue with that car there. So take a look on board there. But Mark coming picking up some places, I think. Now is he closing up on CMC? Or is that just CMC that we've seen potentially getting past Mark? So I think it is. I think it's that CMC that's and unfortunately it is toe to toe. It really is the battle between the back markers here of who can keep the car on the track most. So and CMC has had better days of it. So unfortunately I think that's the CMC retire. An Old Smoky has potentially not been able to get that car restarted. So that's Old Smoky that he's potentially out the running order, still on track. So he's potentially trying to crank it over and obviously thinks he can get that car sorted. But we'll come back to Old Smoky there and see if he manages to just get moved. Not potentially from his lap times, or from his overall track time, but hopefully not in a dangerous place there and not causing a yellow flag for the guys. So that has allowed Mark to get up to 6th place, and it's that Murphy we see there just getting a little bit squirrely, so that I'll see Murphy just try and get a bit out of shape. So again, similar type of position from when he pitted, from when he started the race to when he had to pit stop previously. It looks like the tyres drop off on the McLaren. So Murphy just coming to the pit stops there, a little bit unconventionally, to try and get the damage repaired. So there's a little bit of a way behind him and Luke. I think Luke is yet again going to take 4th spot under pit conditions here. So as we see Bruce just going past Alright Turkish there to lap Alright Turkish, just on Luke. It does look like Luke's a little bit of front end damage on the Porsche, so again making it difficult for him to try and keep that car together. But he's not coming for a pit stop this time, so Still drivable at this stage. To what his lap time says as he comes across. And a 2:13 with a 2:05 from Murphy. So both of these guys putting similar lap times into what they're capable of. But as we see, that Murphy coming in the pits there. So Murphy will be looking to try and get that car back out and underway, which he has done now, and trying to challenge Luke. So again, might be a little bit of tit for tat here. There might be a swapping of 4th and 5th place as he goes past CMC there, which is one of our first retirees. So let's go over to our leader, and it does look like Bruce has picked up some damage there. So 2:02 lap time, potentially the slowest lap time that Bruce has done. Let's take a look at the timing board. Yeah, a little bit slower than his last lap, so potentially that mistake and tagging a wall there. So another mistake there from our leader, but 2 mistakes out of 45 minutes. He's certainly better than the rest of our guys are going at this stage. A minor mistake at that, potentially I think from Bruce with those lap times, but Speedy Gonhog now matching those lap times with the 2:02s, but does have a 15-second gap between himself and Bruce. So as we're coming into the last 10 minutes now, just under the last 10 minutes actually, so less than 10 minutes to go now, of round 3 of our GT1 championship. So it's been all out action here, and it really has been a battle of who can keep it on the track, and a tale of two halves here. So 1st to 4th place, or 1st to 5th place, really maintaining a good level of composure and consistency for the most part, and 6th to, I believe it was 9th, actually really struggling to get anything more than 2 or 3 laps consistency out of these cars before the tyres look like they're really struggling. Baking day here at Road America, so track temperature has been climbing up steadily, and it is currently sat at a blistering 54 degrees C. So right in the middle of a glorious summer's day here, as we see Bruce getting a little bit squirrely there, and he does a full pirouette there on corner exits. So that is going to allow Speedy Gonhog to kind of try and close that gap up as he comes down now into corner 2. So Bruce will have got away by this point, but that's going to be a lot more momentum maintained by Speedy though, as I think that he's got Luke just in front of him as well. So that gap closing down to about 8 seconds now with Speedy. So if there is a bit of damage on that car for Bruce, maybe this is not a done race. Speedy again putting in consistent lap times, 2:02s, 2:03s, slowly but surely dropping as the tyre degradation increases, but 10ths per lap I think. So he's really going to be trying to capitalise on that now. So we'll try and get the jump on what that means in terms of his standing points and bring that to you before the end of the race. But certainly within the last 5 minutes he's going to be sniffing glory, and he's going to be trying to hunt for that win. So bit of a decision time now. Did he try and maintain his characteristic composed nature that he started to build, or does he push and try and go for his first race win, as Luke just gets a little bit out of the way? So down to 10 seconds here, not done yet as we go on board with Luke. So like I said, Luke just under blue flag conditions, a little bit of damage but not too much at this stage on the Porsche. So that's been a common feature of his race so far. Still sticking with that Porsche. I know that the guys can decide to jump ship and speak to manufacturers, different manufacturers during the course of a season. That is not something that is unheard of in our championships. It does tend to be so apologies there, bit of a technical difficulty, but yeah, as I was saying, does seem to be maintaining the loyalty to his manufacturer there and staying in that Porsche. So again, 4th place, still picking up decent points, and still got quite a gap to Murphy. So that 13-second gap, to and fro in a little bit between Luke and Murphy. But potentially I think Luke's just about done enough here with the last 5 minutes in session to get a decent 4th place finish out of this race. So go on board with Mark's here. Mark's getting on. So Mark again, like we know, he's been struggling with the front end on the Toyota here, but we see what this actually does in terms of what it means for his braking zone. So yeah, not struggling too much with that right hander actually, so faring okay, but having to take quite a lot of speed off through this fast section. Potentially damaged that's doing that, as we see a little bit of a all fingers and thumbs and a wipers on there from Mark, so maybe that was more of a hello to his YouTube fans. So that's Mark coming across the timing line there. One thing that this Toyota is notorious for is its speed in a straight line, so we'll be making the most of all the power that it's got in a straight line, but again just struggles so much with trying to take the speed off as he goes a little wide there on the exit turn 1, which is been a common feature of the like I said, for the Toyota here. So hopefully he can do a little bit more in our next round for GT1s. Our next round comes to you from Laguna Seca, so completely different setup required for that, but staying in the States, but a much shorter, much more fast-paced track. So it'll be interesting to see how he sets the Toyota up for that. So let's go back trackside now, and let's see what that gap's doing between Speedy Gonhag and Bruce Law. So okay, so it doesn't look like Speedy's managed to push and decrease that gap. Grown to 13 seconds now from the 10 seconds we had previously, so he's decided not to go and push for it, I think. If anything, he's eased off a little bit on the lap times, with dropping down now to a 2:04 from the 2:01s and 2:02s he was putting at the start of this race. So playing the clever game, taking the 2nd spot and doing it safely, I think. As we see Turkish, it looks like he's picked up a little bit of damage there. So a 2 minutes 17 from Turkish, so it looks like that last lap he's potentially picked up a bit of a knock. And we think we did see him going past Luke before, but Luke looks like he's managed to unlap himself with Turkish there. So Turkish dropping behind him again. It's going to be sitting a little bit weird under the slipstream if he is behind that Porsche with damage, so that's not going to be helping him. So certainly Luke can't be blamed for that, but it does make the drive a bit more difficult when you sat behind somebody, and that is potentially going to be allowing Murphy to, like we said, close that gap up. So a couple of minutes left in session here, not long before the end of our race now, as we're on lap 21 of our round 3 of our GT1 championship. A couple of minutes left in session, and a lot more than that between Murphy and Luke here. So again, not looking potentially like he's going to close that gap up, but again, mistakes should be made here if Luke manages to spin and Murphy keeps things together. Then that 2:04 lap time he's putting in could pay dividends. So we'll try and keep an eye on it. Yeah, so Turkey's still dropping back now from Luke, so still not managing to really maintain the speed in that Merc, but I don't think it's going to affect his performance. Yeah, 2:13 lap time, so considerably slower lap times from Turkish at this stage, but it should still see him come out with a podium finish and getting some decent points out of this. But yeah, I think the gap between himself and Luke is considerable. I think even with a pit stop he would still maintain 3rd place. So I think really the action to watch is between Murphy and Luke for a potential position change between place 4 and 5. But we'll go back trackside as we come into the last 30 seconds of our session now, as Bruce Law goes past Mark there for the what looks like potentially the last time. Bruce currently on 2:01 lap times, so those lap times maintained steady around the 2 minutes, a little bit dropped towards the end of the race down to the 201s with potentially a little bit of damage on the previous lap. I'll be interested to see what he puts in his final lap here. And it will be his final lap as he comes round the last turn for the final time on for the home straight, and that will see Bruce Law yet again win yet another Flux Motorsport Championship race. So well done to Bruce for that. 5 seconds behind him, so managing to close that gap up actually to down to 5 seconds is Speedy Gonhog, and that will catapult Speedy up in the standings. So well done to Speedy there. In third place will come Alright Turkish, so again a couple of minutes behind Alright Turkish, so might not be the sequence that we expect him to come across the lap across the pit straight, but Turkish looks like he's going to get the checkered flag for third spot. So great race there from Turkish, consistency proving key there. And looks like he potentially might come across in fourth position. That is Murphy that we see behind him. So yep, Murphy looks like he's come across in 5th place. Mark takes 6th place. Old Smokey will take 7th place, and unfortunately we had a CMC that had retired from the race. So that is round 3 of our GT1 Championship done for this week. It's been an absolute blast. Again, I think we had some great results there, and a couple of unexpected results, and some really traumatic experiences for one or two of the guys that we were hoping for better results for. But all in all, an enjoyable round there for our GT1 Championship. I've been your host for this evening. This has been Lecky 2000. Do join me again, like I said, for our next championship race, which is on Sunday. That's for our Formula Renaults, and that'll be at 10:30 AM. So don't miss out on that, and please don't miss out on our GT1 Championship next week. Like I said, we will be bringing you the action from Laguna Seca. But thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's been wonderful to have you. I've really enjoyed the action. Yeah, do join us again next time. But thanks very much, everybody. Bye now.